Hello again, CAD users, and welcome to another Did You Know? Today we are going to explore the tool of Transform and Copy Along. So the Transform Copy Along tool has been in the software for a very long time. However, in version 9 there are some major improvements that will probably change the entire way that you go about doing a lot of your copying and editing within your program. Let's take a look at what we have to offer with that, and you can see how powerful that can be for you. In the traditional copy along command, you would select the objects that you wished to copy. You select the command, and you can select it from either here or from Transform and Copy Along here. You would choose either the original orientation, which I'll do now, or parallel. Now, parallel means that the object that you're choosing will kind of hug or stay in alignment with the path that you then copy along, whereas original will keep the same angle. So let's leave it at original. This is the new feature in version 9. It wasn't in 8.7.6.5.4.3.2 or 1. We'll leave that attached we'll leave it ticked so that we've got attached, and we'll choose a spacing. And we'll make that spacing, say, 5 meters between this object and the next one. So the beginning of this object here should be about 5 meters to the next one, and so on. So I select OK. Follow the prompt. It says locate the origin of the selection. I'm going to pick this end point, and then I'm going to pick this curve, and this object is now copied along at 5 meter intervals and with the same angle as it started with. With the new version of the software, you have a bunch of things that you can do that you couldn't do previously, and that is you can double click and you can change the distance. So basically it becomes a parametric object that allows you to change. Every time you click OK, it will update. You can choose by distance, as we've done there, or you could say, I actually want to go by quantity, and we'll have only 7 of the copies along here, and we go OK, and now we've only got 7 items. If we modify the curve, you will see that everything follows to suit, which is a major plus if you've got things that are attached to this. If we were to shorten or lengthen the curve, it recalculates. Okay, so everything is recalculating as we go. So you can see how important this particular tool can be and how useful it can be. If we take the actual master object, so this is the master and these are the copies of that master, and we were to do something like, I don't know, rotate it by 3 points. Okay, and no copies, and I'll say, okay, I want to rotate it from here, we're going to rotate it out around here. These don't update immediately, but the moment you select the path and then select one of its points, just click and let go, the whole path re-updates itself. So you can see, again, as you can see, very, very useful possibility for you to utilize. All right. So now we choose this particular circle, and this circle has got a plane in it. You can see that the curve underneath follows underneath. Okay, but we'll select just that. Use the copy along command, spacing 4,000, hit OK. I'll make that the center and we'll copy along that object. And as you can see, those copies are all there. And if we manipulate the object, everything updates. And if we take a copy of it, we can just click, drag, holding down the control key, and we've now got a copy. The copy is just as malleable as the original. And if we lengthen this one, you'll see that there are multiples coming out here. If we were to shorten the length of a curve, we couldn't do it by right-clicking on it and choosing Trim or Extend, because we'll get an error message, okay, to select only linear entities. This is no longer just a linear entity because it is a master and a path that are attached together. You could separate them or unattach them, but then we wouldn't be able to sort of modify it in the way we are now. So what you can do is come up to the editing tools, choose the trim command, select the curve to trim, and then trim it back to where you want it to go. And these initially get left behind, but they are still attached to this object. And if we were to pick the object and touch any one of its points, it will reenact or reassess and recalculate the curve and its copies. You will find if you are doing something like pipe work or needing special line styles, then this tool is very handy. Now if I select this piece of text, or double click, you can see that I've got this haloed, and my halo color is white. Okay, and that means that it's covering the curve, and you can see the curve actually sits underneath, but that white text is sitting on top and masking the line underneath. However, let's create a line style out of this by choosing the SW, and we will then go and use the copy along command. We'll leave the spacing at, we'll make the spacing 5,000, and again, making it parallel to the entity will mean it will follow the contour of this curve, and it could be a line or an arc or a circle. I'll start that as my starting point, copy along here, and we've now got our copy following along this particular curve or line. Again, same idea. If you grab the end of it, make it longer, then it will follow you. In this case, we are going to select just this line, okay, and we're going to make it do a copy along. So copy along, and we'll make that one 400. That's my beginning, that's my end, and as you can see, we can manipulate it and keep changing it as much as we like. Okay, lengthening it and duplicating it if we need to, even just moving it to a new location. Okay, so it will carry everything with it. If we modify this by selecting the master, so this is the master object, and you know it's the master because if you select the path, the master highlights. Okay, if you select the master, you can edit the master, so I'm changing its angle here. Okay, and when you next either double click and hit OK or touch one of these points on there, it will update all of this element for you. The same would be true if we were to trim this, or even if we just drag the point down here to halfway. Next time we select this curve, which is the curve it's following along, touch any one of its points, they all update to modify with it. You'll be particularly pleased if you are in the landscape environment, because you'll be able to take your trees and copy them along a path, just as we've been doing, and we'll use this 4-meter number. Okay, and we'll copy them along. I'll make that the center and copy along here. You can see that's probably too many to fit in there, and normally in the old system you would have had to have undone this and gone back in again, but with this one we double click and we'll say, well actually I want to change the number here, so I'll put in 7 meters and hit OK, and it revamps the entire calculation for you. So you'll see how useful and how important this is if you're in landscaping, because you can just do so much more editing with it. Now, if you were to work on the number of copies, so if I double click this and I said I really want to base everything on the quantity that I have, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, let's just say I only really want 5 copies plus the original, and select OK. We now automatically distribute that. And again, as we manipulate it, it updates. So as you can see, this is a very useful tool, and I hope you've had a great deal of pleasure in seeing this tool, and I hope that you utilize the tool as much as possible, because it will change the way you do drawings.